Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I am Ted Santos, and I am the co-host of Straight Talk with Ted Santos and Blair Nash. And for this conversation, I'd like to have you all to myself. And Blair and I, we do a weekly talk show. It's every Sunday evening, 7 p.m. to 8:30 Eastern Time, and we talk about relationships. And we talk about relationships from the man's point of view. So Straight Talk is the station that was created for men by men, and we always give the woman's perspective. And ladies, I promise you, it's a show you wouldn't want to miss. And we've had quite a few provocative topics. We've talked about whether men or women want sex more, who wants it more, men or women. Should men pay for dates? Should men be allowed to have a second woman? We've had many provocative topics and controversial, to say the least. And one of the topics keeps spinning around in my mind, and that was what comes before love. And in that we talked about how important it is to get to know the person before you even have love, and really even before you have sex. And someone wrote on my post under, I think it was under that show, she said, relationships don't go bad, they start bad. And that's in relationship to what comes before love. And I'd like to have a conversation with you about that. Because I'm really thinking about one of the words that we used in relationship to that show, that, as this woman said succinctly, relationships don't go bad, they start bad. And part of the reason relationships start bad is people have kind of, let's just get to know one another and see what happens. And I think that's insane. And that's how it starts bad, because you're playing a wait and see. So there's one word that I suggest that people use before you even have the feeling of love. You should interrogate that person. And so many people have a problem with that word, interrogate. And I don't get that. I mean, think about it. You want to work for a company, you go on a job interview, and they're going to interview you to make sure you are the right fit for their organization. It doesn't matter if it's a small 5-person company or if it's a 100,000 person corporation. They're going to interrogate you, and you have no problem with it. You let them ask you any question they want, and you answer it. And they not only interrogate you while you're there, they gather intelligence on social media. They see your point of view on Facebook and Instagram. In fact, a woman, and we talked about this in Long Island, recently lost her job because a picture of her topless was found online, and she's a teacher, middle school teacher. So you are being interrogated when you want to work somewhere. And I know that having a career is important, and it's not just a career, it's your profession, and you can be all you can be in your profession. It's a great way to express a part of yourself. But I don't get how your job can be more important than the person that is closest to you in your intimate life. And especially if you are thinking about a serious relationship and even marriage. I mean, the decision for a significant other, whether it's a life partner or a spouse, is absolutely the most important decision you'll make in your life. That person affects everything. Your mindset, the choices you make, where to live, whether you travel, how you raise your children. They affect savings. They affect your everyday life. You go to bed with them and you wake up with them. And that person can make you feel like, the eye of the tiger, the champion, or they can beat you up every day and argue and you don't feel very powerful. And that will affect your job. Yet you let that person, this significant other, into your life with a hope to see what will happen. Yet for your job, it's okay to be interrogated for a measly job. And I find it even more strange because people actually interrogate one another. I mean, think about it. I've heard of cases where I know a guy, he's over 45. The guy is an attorney, he has his own law firm, and he takes a woman on a date, and she's over 40. And she actually asked for his home address. And she said, I need your home address so I can give it to my family in case something happens to me. They'll know where to find me. And the guy was insulted. He canceled the date and said, if you think I'm dangerous, then we shouldn't go out. And she couldn't understand why he made that choice. And even me personally, on 2 occasions, as a woman has come into my house for the first time, on separate occasions, they asked if I was going to kill them. I mean, that's a police interrogation or being on a witness stand. I mean, what do you say as a guy to a woman who's asking you if you're going to kill her? Like, if I was, I'm going to tell you yes? So people are interrogating, but are you asking the right questions? So do you even know how to interview someone for your life? Or do you do what a lot of people do and I'm going to say this and some of you may be offended, but most people approach love relationships in a very irresponsible way. And it's why they don't start out powerfully. And people think they go bad. People start out relationships hoping that this magical thing called chemistry is just going to make everything work out just perfect. And that way you don't have to be responsible for getting to know the person. You don't have to be responsible for knowing what you want. It's just magic. Makes it all magically happen. If you want a relationship to work well, it's not going to be chemistry. And if it was, someone should make a pill so that after 1 year or 5 or 20 years of marriage, you say, honey, our chemistry is dying. You pop a pill and say, wow, our chemistry is back. Come, I love you again. But until that chemistry pill is made, you're on your own. Well, I guess there are times when you don't need to interrogate someone. If you're just looking for sex, that's a whole nother story. And if you're a woman and you're just looking for sex, I actually might have a couple of friends I can introduce you to. Inbox me, I'll make some introductions. But for those who are looking for something more serious, I have a couple of questions. If you're worried about being interrogated, do you have something to hide? I mean, is there something in your past that's so bad that you don't want someone to know? And if it is, why would someone be in a relationship? Why would a person invite you into their life? I mean, inviting someone into your life to share your thoughts, your love, your intimacy, the things that you want, your ambitions, the things that you don't want, travel together, even raise children together. That's an important job. To hire someone and you interview them. So, but I guess the question is, one, do you really know what you want? Because if you do know what you want, then you know what to look for. And when you know what to look for, you know what questions to ask. Otherwise, you're just guessing and you're hoping chemistry and magic and things will just work themselves out. So, I'd like to understand why someone would think an interrogation, an interview, would be combative. I mean, you can ask a person lots of questions without being combative. However, if you are combative, the question is, are you just a combative person? And it doesn't matter what it is. Um, and you're actually telling the person you're going to be combative in a relationship. I mean, how do you get to know someone without asking questions? So, um, there are probably tons of questions to ask a person, but first, you have to know yourself. And by knowing yourself, then number two, you actually know what to look for and you'll know what questions to ask. On the show we did about what's before love, a big a big sticking point was integrity. And maybe that's the most important part of having something in common with the other person is having that integrity. And how do you see integrity? You know, is integrity just about moral values? Does this person kill spiders or squirrels or cats? Um, or do they keep their word? I mean, do they honor their word? Is this a person you can depend on? Because it seems without integrity, nothing works. I mean, imagine you buy an automobile and the integrity of the car is bad, it's compromised. You can be driving down the highway and that car just falls apart. That would be very dangerous. So imagine being in a relationship with someone and that their integrity is always compromised. That relationship can fall apart at any moment. But as the person said, it's not that the relationship went bad and fell apart. It started bad because you didn't really find out if they had integrity. And I'm not suggesting that you put people through tests. You can get to know someone just by conversation and engaging them. I mean, asking a person questions and they become defensive, then you need to ask yourself, do I want to be in a relationship with someone who becomes defensive? I mean, even if you're together for 20 years, you're still going to be getting to know one another and you'll still be asking questions. Unless you took that chemistry pill. And then you just pop the pill and you'll have chemistry and make love and everything will be, as they say, hunky-dory. But for those of us who don't have that chemistry pill, integrity is a big deal. And there are lots of ways that you can discover a person's integrity, including being on time for the dates. If they say they're going to call you at a certain time, even calling you. And my other concern is that sometimes maybe we've taught women that it's not ladylike to ask a guy a lot of questions. You don't want to pry. So perhaps women don't feel like they have the right to ask questions, and then when they're asked too many questions, they may become offended because they don't think it's proper for them to do. Well, I'm saying, ladies, if you're inviting a guy into your life and you are concerned of the guy being threatening to you in some way, you have the right to ask questions. I mean, integrity is one. How they handle conflict is another big thing. I mean, you can see some of that when you're out, even how they handle the waiter or waitress, even the busboys. And some people can put on a good show, I understand that, and be dishonest. But there are lots of things that you can ask a person, and there are lots of ways to ask someone, and you can interrogate them. And as a guy, you can be rather smooth about it. And put the woman at ease. And as a lady, hell, you can be so feminine, the guy doesn't even know that he's being interrogated and he's enjoying the whole ride. But once you make it combative, you just said more about yourself and your own mindset. So instead of believing your relationship went bad, think about how it started. And did it really start with a solid foundation? Now, if you're depending on love and chemistry to be your foundation, well, love and chemistry are fickle. I mean, there are feelings that you get, and feelings can change. Something doesn't happen at work and your feelings are changing. You stub your toe. I mean, anything can make you physically not feel great. And that impacts love and chemistry. But if you really have a solid foundation that's built on what you have in common, like common goals, there's enough research out there that looks at people who have very successful relationships and become successful financially. They may not start out that way. They may even have, there are couples who have lost everything, and husband and wife sleeping out of a car together, and they didn't part ways because of the integrity, the way they wanted to raise their children, the goals and ambitions, their ideas about travel, their ideas about handling conflict. All of these things that they knew up front were the things that they had in common, and that was what tied them together and gave them the bond. And love is built on top of that foundation. So what I'm suggesting is that instead of looking at interrogation as this awful thing that the police or the military does to a prisoner, another word is examination. It's an interview. But if you understand that you actually have the right to interrogate someone before you invite them into your life, and you're actually hiring the person to share your life with you, and it's the biggest job you can hire anyone for, especially if you're going to raise children together. Know that you have the right to know who they are and who you're inviting into your life. So, before you say interrogate is a bad word, think about how bad it can be when you let someone into your life and you find out that they flipped their lid a long time ago. You want to know that in advance. You can make better choices. So, it's not too late. Interrogate, even if you're already married. Love to hear your stories. Please, on Straight Talk with Blair and I, you can call us on Sunday. Like to hear your thoughts and opinions about the topics we have. Don't be shy. Call us. If you have some comments, put them below. If you think I flipped my lid, tell me. Love to hear it. Thanks a lot, and I'll talk to you all soon. Goodbye.